to do it. Yeah, it does work. Everyone's like, just get her to shut up, whatever it takes.
Okay.
We love you, Niall.
Okay, guys, welcome. We'll get straight into it because we have a lot of things to cover, and this discussion is just a small part of it. While we are here to obviously rejoice and recollect all of our wonderful memories and our time spent here, it's obviously also a good time to reflect on where we are in our lives, the movement, how the UWC experience has affected us, whether the UWC movement is relevant today, and some of these questions that all of your inputs would be really valuable for. So we're going to go ahead and have that discussion. To kick it off, can we see the theory of change document on the screen, please? So some of our MBA students may be more familiar with these kinds of things, but we're not going to go over it in detail. The idea, and there are people here who have worked on this document much more than I have. Apparently it's gone blank, but yeah. No, we cannot go through it in detail, Hans. But this is a theory of change developed by the Committee of National Committees from the National Committee side. I believe there is similarly a theory of change document being developed from the school side, because this is really the amount of effort that is going into reimagining our movement and keeping it relevant for the world of tomorrow. Sumit, can you just scroll down very quickly to all 3 pages? We don't have to read everything, it's just to see the scale of what is happening. Sumit? No, this is by the Committee of National Committees, formulated for all national committees. Yeah. We don't do so much work. Yeah. The mission statement. Yeah. Okay. Sumit, thank you. You can take it off the screen. Yeah, we can share this document, and we can talk about it at night as well. So for all your exit interviews. So we have, I think everyone here has become so accomplished in their lives in a variety of different fields. We have somebody here who literally started an NGO straight after graduating from MUKI, and that NGO has been running for the last 24 years. It's affected the lives of many young children in Pune. So I think that's amazing. We have people that are working with organizations to empower women and education. We have people here who are working in the fields of data science and shaping what AI policy is going to look like in the next 10-20 years. We have people working in fields like healing and yoga and just helping people to feel physically better. We have people who have served as NC members for 17 years on various national committees, and some for shorter amounts of time, but still in a very dedicated way. We have people who have reached, many people here who have reached the zenith of the financial services and IT sectors. We have people here who are educationists and social media influencers. Where's Tarun? Everyone must subscribe to Tarun's channel. It's amazing. And we have people here who are working in corporate social responsibility. I've only covered a few. I'm sure I may have missed out on some. And of course, we have people here now who are parents to many amazing children. So we want to hear from all of you. We're not obviously going to go around one by one. Only those who wish to speak will speak, but we'd like to keep it to the format of whenever you're speaking for the first time, you just say, I am Rohan. Well, you don't say I'm Rohan, you say I am Dash. You say, I am Dash, I'm from Dash, I'm currently living in Dash, and this is what I do. Right? And then give your question or your answer or your comment or your observation or whatever it is. So just to get the conversation going, we didn't get any volunteers, so I arm twisted a few people and asked them to get the conversation started. And so I'd like to go to Gayatri first. And if you could go by the format of introduction and then tell us how you think the world of CSR is changing and how that's having an impact on, that could have a huge potential impact on the education landscape of tomorrow. Thank you.
Big question. So I'm Gayatri. I'm Gayatri. I am from India. I live in Bombay. I work, what I do, right? I work at the Godrej Group, which is a very large diversified family business in India, where I head sustainability and corporate social responsibility for the group. At least from what I see in the corporate world and working in a part of the corporate world that's not business as usual, is I feel the need for, when we hire people, when we have young people join our teams and our businesses, I think the one thing as employers we see lacking in education and in people's ability to critically think is an interdisciplinary approach. The kind of issues that we work on are pretty difficult. They require understanding, how can engineering combat climate change, how can chemicals be green, right? And these are big questions that not everyone has answers for. And where we feel, or at least where I feel education could make the biggest difference is in breaking down some of these barriers and disciplines that typically divide rather than have people work creatively towards new solutions. So yeah, that's my short answer to your very big question.
Thank you very much, Gayatri. We'll come back to you. And next, could we go to Nisha? Nisha, okay, excellent. Placed right here. Nisha, same question to you, but based on your work with women, where do you see the education landscape changing in terms of the work that you're doing and some of the changes you've been able to implement?
I'll trade you. Hi, I'm Nisha. I am from I don't know where, and I currently live in Delhi, and I have been for 13 years. I am really humbled to be part of the leadership team of an organization called Empower. We work with at-risk young people in 15 countries around the world, so 5 in Latin America, 3 in Africa. India is its own region. It's our largest country of investment, and 4 in Southeast Asia. And we work primarily with adolescent girls in education and livelihoods. I think the 3 big things that I'm seeing at a meta level in education policy right now, I think the first is the impetus or the recognition of the wisdom of community knowledge and that of the global south. There's been this massive shift in philanthropy and in the social impact space towards recognizing that it's not a bunch of people with doctorates sitting around a table and deciding what young people need, but rather that young people themselves have the voice, choice, and agency to be able to make decisions. I think that's a massive move that we're seeing in philanthropy globally. That's phenomenal. I think for anyone who's talked to me for longer than 2 minutes, I'm going to talk about gender, and go figure. But I think there's a deeper recognition across industries, whether that be in livelihoods, in education, across the board, in terms of recognizing the necessary differentiation because of the point of departure for women and girls. And I think the third thing which has been really exciting to see, is Empower was actually born out of the financial services community. So it was actually a group of debt traders sitting in New York wanting to give back to the economies where they were working. And I think the biggest trend specifically for education is for people to pay it forward and for people to pay it back. And I think that's been a phenomenal shift as well. So if we've benefited from it, we should all recognize that, and I think that's a part of why we're here today as well.
Thank you, Nisha. Are we not doing applause anymore? What's going on? And for Gayatri also, we had forgotten. Okay, next I'd like to go to Urvashi. Urvashi, could you please talk to us about your view on how AI is going to change not just the classroom experience, but also the selection process of students and the development of curriculums, and more importantly, the legislation surrounding all of that to make it really equitable and fair for the global south.
That's too long a question. I forgot the first part.
Yeah. How do we beat ChatGPT?
Only an AI can answer your question. Oh God, I forgot the first part of your question. It was so long.
Where's the mic?
Start with my name. Oh. See, I missed the beginning. I'm Urvashi. I live in Goa. I run a think tank. We work on tech policy. It's called Digital Futures Lab. A lot of our work is about putting tech back in its place, so that tech doesn't overrun our lives. Yeah, I've done the first part. Okay, cool. Second part. I don't know. I mean, I would hope AI doesn't do any of the things that you're talking about, Rohan. That would be my hope. That AI has nothing to do with curriculum design, that AI has nothing to do with selection, that AI has nothing to do with administration, any of that. Because AI is it's a status quo technology. It reproduces the past. It's very much a status quo technology. So it creates a future which is a replication of the past. And if we do that in education, then we're going to have a very, very unequal, discriminatory education system, which we probably don't want to have. So I would hope that what we can do with AI is actually like reduce the burden of teachers, maybe, like especially in the Indian context, like education is very under-resourced, teachers are overburdened, especially in like not in schools like ours, but actually also perhaps in schools like ours. But in general, like, you know, in like low-income backgrounds, obviously like schools and those places, teachers are very overburdened. So I would hope we can reduce some of their workload and make like teaching an easier experience rather than it being like a student-facing technology. But I think the problem is that that's not where the market is going, that's not where investment is going. Investment is going towards like personalized education and things like that, and that will eventually end up benefiting those who are already very, very privileged, and I think therefore like the inequities will really, really grow. So I hope AI doesn't do any of those things. And I think, so that's the kind of work that we are trying to do, is trying to put tech back in its place and not have AI everywhere.
Fantastic, thank you. So I wasn't planning to call on Faraz, but he's looking very tired, so I think it would be a good way to get him back into the mix. Faraz, would you tell us a little bit about all of the work that you do with Harvard and all of the connections that are built and maintained, and how we can do better as an institution in leveraging the alumni community that we have to make sure that we attract the best students and continue to do better?
I don't work for Harvard.
I know you don't, but you're very active within the alumni chapters. So that's why the question. I know you don't work for Harvard.
I'm not tired. My voice is just a little gone. And way to pick on a beaten man, Rohan. No, I'll be okay, I think. Hi guys, this is so weird. My name is Faraz. I was class of 2002. Not that young. Lots of medications. So I'm originally from Bangladesh. I'm living in New York now for the last 18 years with my wife and 2 kids. I was at Harvard for undergrad after here. Then I currently work for Goldman Sachs. I run our currencies and emerging markets business, trading sales business over there. Actually, we work with Nisha. She's talking about the debt traders in New York. We do a lot of work with her on Empower.
As a donor.
Yes. So I'll touch what you were saying about alumni stuff. So it's not just Harvard, but a lot of the US universities are particularly good at this, which is they're like very well-oiled machines in terms of keeping alumni engaged. It's not about just money and donation, because I think a lot of people take the lazy way out and just write a check and like, hey, we're an alum, we're part of it, but they're very good at keeping you engaged. They get you mentors, invite you to speak on campus. They do all these other things to keep alumni from every different part, no matter what they're doing, engaged. The money's almost the last step. At some point, you feel like you're so part of it, if you can afford it, no matter what the number is. Then they're like, even if you can give $1, we want to get our class participation rate up. It doesn't matter. So you get the range from like 1 to like 10 figures. It doesn't really matter. So that's how they're going to keep people going. But that's what I was telling Rohan yesterday, which is, I think with UWC at least, I mean, I'm in touch with my friends. I'm in touch with a bunch of people on social media, etc. But I don't think I felt like I was in touch with UWC movement at all. And obviously this weekend I've gotten very much in touch, at least my voice has. But I think it's great to do these reunions. But I think when we were here for the 10 year, that was in 2011, I know COVID took some years out, but everyone was like, oh, we've got to all come back in 5 years because this is incredible. And that energy dissipated, I think, 2 weeks after we all left campus. So I think the way to do it is, in my opinion, have these every 5 or 10 years so the continuity is there, and then have like, you know, everyone's all over the world. So you can have regional meetings, regional, etc., whatever it is, just to kind of like get the local area going, and then have people, I think we need to do a better job of like connecting alumni of where they are. So whenever someone goes to one of the big cities like London or New York, there's enough people there and we get groups together pretty fast. So if we can do that, smaller regional ones as we go, and then the larger ones every 5 or 10 years, I think that's kind of how you keep the active participation going. And have people come to campus, not just for these big things. Like if you hear someone's working in India, visiting for work, tell them to come in and speak to the students. They'll feel engaged, the students will get something out of the alumni, and that's how you kind of keep it going.
Thanks for us. Yes, sir, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm going to crash in at this point. I'm not supposed to participate. My name is Zubin, and I'm on the board of Myoki. But I just wanted to emphasize that everything which Faraz just said is something which we are in the process of implementing. We will ensure that we accelerate and maximize the engagement with all our alumni community, but I have one request. It's always a partnership. We need you to participate equally in the journey which we are planning. We want to get there where Faraz said Harvard excels at it. We probably will never reach their level of capability in this regard, but we genuinely are making efforts at the board level to move our entire alumni engagement to a very high level. And to that extent, we will ask from you, not money, not donations, we will also ask from you to basically participate in the engagement activity. So one basic level over here is if you can enhance the database of all the contacts that we can reach out to, yourselves included. That's one of the small goals that we want to achieve at this reunion. So I just wanted to barge in at this point of time and ensure that you guys are aware of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. Can we go next to Kinga? Where is she? Yes? Okay. Yes, amazing. She's served on 2 national committees. I'll let her talk about all the work that she's done herself. But the question, Kinga, is that over that period of time, having selected students who you've now seen, go through the UWC process, go through the get undergraduate degrees, go into the job market, become volunteers, come back, work for you. You've really seen potential and outcomes, and you've had a chance to look at that graph holistically. And so, what has, if at all, your what have your views on selecting students, the type of students that should be selected. How has that evolved, and what are the practical consequences on the practical layer of that today?
Hi, I'm Kinga. I'm actually a +1 at this reunion because I'm Yuki 04. So some of you may know me, but not everyone. And I'm originally from Poland, and now I live in Manchester, UK. And as Rohan said, I've been with national committees for 17 years, for 10 years with Poland, and 7 with the UK. And the journey of selections and then seeing students grow and graduate and go through the process has been a fascinating one. But I would say particularly the last few years have been most different. And I'm not even going to say that COVID has impacted the process and the experience. It has, but not to a large extent. But what has drastically changed is actually technology, and how technology is used by students and how technology is used in every aspect of the process. What we see more and more is that UWC has gained a reputation for being a school for the outcast. And 7 years ago, we had maybe 5–10% of our applicant students would be from LGBTQ communities. Right now it's 70 to 80. This year alone, we admitted 5 transgender students out of 12 who applied. And we had over 300 applications. And it is a great thing to see, but very often the motivation for wanting to come is the wrong one, because it's, I want to escape, I don't want to go somewhere, I want to escape. And as difficult as it is, this isn't the right profile. So, and it becomes very difficult as also students share the interview scripts and they share the tips and they pass everything on to capture who is here, who is trying to get here for the right reasons. And a second big challenge that we see with that technology, and I'm fairly sure that everyone from staff in Yuki could tell even more about it, is that students struggle a lot more. Because when they homesick, they just get on WhatsApp and call home. They don't take the time to reflect, think about their own feelings, and then think about, oh, do I really want to tell my mom and dad that I'm not really happy? Can I give them a more level picture? And then you have parents being unhappy, and everything is school's fault, it's never the kid's fault. And that resilience of actually moving has changed drastically, and it came with the technology. The fact that you no longer take that time to reflect on what's happening. So, as you know, we've had a change of selection criteria just last year in the movement, and the new criteria, the way I look at them, are survival criteria. Because now we look at 6 criteria, and 5 of them look at, do you have the academic ability? Do you have the resilience? Do you have the life skills to move away from home and survive? Only 1 criterion is about values. When we applied, it was 5 criteria, 3 on values, 2 on survival. That's the big change that happened. And as much as I don't like it as an alumna, and as someone who has been selected on very different reasons, the survival skills are needed as long as kids don't have the skill, the time, and the space to reflect on their experience in the now. And they will have their parents come to their aid. So that is a really big change that I see in the process. But another really interesting thing in looking long term is that when we come to UWC, the biggest value people see is, oh, I have a couch in Latin America and can crash on. And I have friends everywhere around the world and I can travel. But if you talk to them 5–10 years later, that's when the learning really happens. That's when that reflection of the experience, the knowledge, the learning and the sharing from people all over the world really flourishes. But it only comes 10 years later. So investment in this education is very much for the long haul, because the actual understanding and humility will only kick 10 years after they leave. And it's very important to acknowledge that and have that at the back of your mind when you're working with those teenagers. So I hope that answers your question.
Very well, thank you. Is Aditya here? Aditya Tapadia? Yes. Sorry, I didn't give you any notice, but Aditya is an educator working in the early years schooling space. So Aditya, can you tell us a little bit about yourself first, and then your experiences with the expectations that parents come to you at the very, very nascent stage of their children's academic journeys, and how you kind of balance those and make them understand that if you want to apply to a UWC, these are the kind of experiences that you need to build, or this is the kind of well-rounded person that you need to be, or just to implement that even outside of a UWC context. Can you speak about that a little bit, please?
Okay. Hi, I'm Aditya, batch of 2003. I run a chain of preschools by the name Jumpstart in Pune, Bangalore and Hyderabad. Currently what we have been seeing, and we have been running it for the last 15 years, there has been a big shift in terms of the way parents' expectations have come out of an educational institute. Parents are more protective, more demanding, and absolutely they are not willing to let the school give what they are actually intending to give. Everything is questioned to such a level that parents want to monitor the child 24/7 on the CCTV. So the first criteria which actually parents come up is, can I monitor my child 24/7? What are you going to give? And it is not more what we are delivering in terms of content or how the child is evolving as a person or what are his survival skills. And I think that is something which is missing. So we are having a lot of entitled children who are coming in next generation. So we call this the Gen Z's and generation. And I think that's a bigger problem because everything is given to them on a plate. So that becomes a big challenge and that has to be addressed if at all they have to apply to an institute like UWC. Thank you.
Great. Next, could I go to Rahat, please, and ask her to speak about her work with NGOs and providing legal aid to NGOs all over the world that need them, and maybe give us a little bit of context of, what are the issues that organizations like that face and what help they need on a regular basis and how you help to facilitate that.
Okay. Hi, I'm Rahat. I'm from the class of 2003 and I'm from India originally and I live in London now. And I work with a human rights organization which is called Article 19. And I work actually in the comms team, so I lead what is called the global content team. I don't actually work in fundraising that much. I'm not sure how qualified I am to speak on, broadly on, but what I can say and what we do know is funding across the board is a challenge, I think, for anybody who works in the non-profit space. You're always struggling for resources. The landscape of fundraising is very difficult because a lot of the money that comes with strings attached to it, which means that donors often insist that money can be given for programmatic work, but we can't have more staff, we can't have more infrastructure, we can't have more the core things you need to run any kind of an organization. So that's a definite challenge. And I think, I think in terms of sort of, I can speak more about the issues we work on and not, which is on, we work on freedom of expression specifically. So that involves things like transparency, including government and corporate transparency, the freedom of the press, protest, so your mechanisms to keep democracy alive. Specifically in our space, these are not issues that funders want to be associated with. So there's a challenge with that. And a lot of the contexts in which we work are very, very difficult contexts, like in Myanmar or in Palestine or wherever, where security is a big issue. So, and I don't have answers on how to address these fundraising challenges. Fundraising is a new space for me and I'm going to grow into that this year onwards. So I'm actually looking to learn from anyone who has any advice on and who works in that space. I would love to talk to you guys. Please come tell me if you have ideas because we are really looking to figure this out. But yeah, those are some of the challenges for sure that we're seeing.
Okay, could we go to Julia next? And I don't have much to say other than, could you please tell us about the journey of Ashray and the amazing, wonderful organization it's become today?
Thank you. And Rahat, let's talk about fundraising after. So I don't know how many of you will know about AIC, but AIC really came out of And to give Kamenika some credit because she was very much part of it at the beginning and for actually many years after, but there's been quite a bit of UWC involvement after. So Liz Schultes, who I'm sure you all remember, called me halfway through our freshman year in college and said, look, I feel really out of place. And I was like, oh my God, I feel really out of place. I'm like the blonde with the Indian accent, and I'm at an Ivy League school, and I really want to go back to India. And she said, you know, why don't we do something more sustainable than just coming back to volunteer? Why don't we start a home for orphan street children? And I said, that's a great idea. And you know, we were young and naive. We didn't really know what we were getting ourselves into. And that was 20 years ago. And our older kids are 30 years old now. So I'm very proud of them. This makes me very emotional. And it's given me an opportunity to pass my UWC education on to other kids. And actually, 2 of our kids have gone to UWC, which is super nice. One of them here, and one of them in Germany. But in the meantime, and thank you for giving me the opportunity, because one thing I completely didn't think about is the opportunity to give you a chance to actually come see our programs in Pune, because apart from the 16 kids that grew up in our residential program, so I always tell people I have 20 children, 4 of them you know because they're running around somewhere here, and 16 that are in Pune, half of them grown up at the moment. But we also run a education outreach program in Pune, because at some point back in 2007, before the financial crisis, we actually had additional funding, which we haven't had in a long time now, and we decided to help kids that are not orphaned. So we started an education outreach program in one of the slums in Pune, which at the moment is surrounded by big fancy offices, and you're sort of overlooking this slum area. And one of the challenges that we've been facing over the years is sort of realizing that education is not something that people value the same across, or are able to value the same across different levels of society. Because when we started the education outreach program, a lot of the parents actually didn't want to send their kids to school. We were a bunch of foreign kids running around offering school education. The parents said, well, my kid needs to go begging because otherwise I don't have an income. We had a very brave dad in the slum who sent his 3 daughters to come to our residential house, I'm sure you remember that, to basically get tutored and to have showers and to get a meal, and then on his, people started to basically piggyback off of that. And as part of the education outreach program, we then also realized, well, what is it that we can offer the parents to actually send their kids to school? We realized that when the parents are sick, the kids don't come to school, so we started a health outreach program on the back of that and a community outreach program. And we, in the meantime, have 500 kids in school. There's some... So the older ones go to college and the younger ones are like tiny. So please come see us in Yeroda. It's very cute. You can see all the classrooms. We have a staff of about 45 people. Yeah, I think that's it. And I think apart from that, obviously there's 500 kids in school. There's thousands of people in the slum that have benefited from the program. And yeah, come see us. And if you have ideas on how to fund us, please come talk to me, because as Rahat said before, it's an ongoing struggle to get funding for this. We have, luckily, a lot of CSR funding now from India. We have a full team. We have a fundraising director here. But yeah, this AIC is not my full-time job. It's not Liz's full-time job. So we're constantly trying to make sure our programs keep running for the next 20 years as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. Okay, could we go to Abhinav next, because he had a very interesting comment. I'd let you talk about your work in the Northeast, which is one of our most underrepresented regions at MUKI. But also, if you could just kind of extrapolate on the comment that you made yesterday, which is to say, oftentimes when there's a brilliant young person that you see and you say, you'd be a great fit for UWC, the outcome is either they come and they really, really succeed and do well, or they get lost. And I think that has some correlation to what Kinga was saying also earlier about not just motivation, but preparation. So could you talk a little bit about that, please? Thanks.
Thanks. So, my name is Abhinav. I come from Assam. and I work in the education space as an education consultant. And yeah, so for a moment I was wondering, was it before I started drinking or after that comment? So, but I think I recall that now. I'm so sorry. I mean, I started drinking quite late also. Anyway, so going back to the topic. So yeah, so I felt that because I commented on that because I felt that when I was here. And I think across the room, I spoke to so many people and everyone felt that. Basically, I never spoke in global affairs. It's my first time speaking also. And I did not speak because I was highly intimidated. My English was not that great. People spoke about topics I had no clue about, and it was very difficult. And at that point of time, I wanted somebody to tell me that it's okay. You're not somebody who would be like, don't know stuff or confused and stuff like that. But I did not have that, so I don't know how many people have that here or maybe felt similar. I'm sure you have. And then when you get out, you feel even worse because you just don't know what happened to you. As I spoke yesterday, things happened. After that, lot many more things happened. Then I came back here, and further many more things are happening. So then this whole space of going into counseling and consulting and helping young kids to sort of find themselves is what I do now. Because I've had not that great experience when I was in school. And not just UWC, I was in a boarding school before also, so it was all similar. And that's when the whole idea, when we were speaking, Rohan and I, the whole idea came up. And I've seen a lot of kids because I work with UWC kids also now. And they are highly confused also. They don't know what hit them, especially from UK. And then we either see like either big jump in terms of success, in whichever way you define success. Maybe it's family, maybe it's money, maybe it's work, maybe it's getting into an Ivy League college or something, whatever it is. And then we see people who are completely disrupted and really don't know what is going on, which happened to me because I really didn't know. I went to Bombay for a year, uske baad I went to Delhi, and then I went off to Germany, and I went to study computer engineering. I went there, I said, I found Earth and Space Sciences. They promised you can go for free field trips twice a year across Europe. I was like, yeah, that's a better thing to study also. So then that sort of confusion I still see in students now, and because of that confusion, it takes, as Kinga pointed out, it takes maybe 10, 15 years to really find yourselves and your interest and stability. But if you can do something as a community to bring that stability when in the real time, like when the kids are here, not just at UWC but across anywhere, I think that will be great help. So that's why probably the whole alumni connect, people coming back and so on really helps. At my previous alma mater, I think that's why the conversation had come up, because what we do there now is that we bring back alumni, Assam Valley School, we bring back alumni, and then we have a meeting with the grade 11th and 12th kids without the teachers and switching off all the CCTV cameras. Just to give them that space that nobody is watching you. And you can just say anything and everything. You can talk about breakups, you can talk about bad things happening to you, good things happening to you. There's no problem. So that support can really help. So that's about it, I think, and I think bringing that engagement back would be great. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Abhinay. Kinga had a hand raised, so Kinga, go ahead.
Sorry, can you hear me? Great. I just wanted to comment on that. I think there's a lot of focus on the positive, and we talk about all the great things and all the big ways in which you can change the world and all the grandeur, forgetting that some people have ceilings that are our floors, as I like to talk about it. When I came to UWC, my goal was to learn English. I never, in my wildest dream, have hoped of going further than that. And I think there's very little acknowledgement of that among the student body because the adults don't tell them that. And we don't say that when you're not okay, it is actually okay. And I just attended graduation at Atlantic College in Wales in May. And one of my babies, one of my students, her dad has just passed away 3 months prior. And, you know, we were chatting just as part of the ceremony, and she's like, I'm not happy. I don't think I can walk up that stage and pick up my diploma because my dad is not here. And everybody here is happy and excited and cheering. I don't think I can do it because my dad isn't here. And it took me half an hour to literally sitting down with her and explaining that it's okay not to feel okay. And that is a perfectly human emotion. And I think it's particularly in places of privilege, such as Milky and many other wonderful schools and experiences we've all had in our lives, we so focus on the positive. We so focus on always going further and higher and being better and, you know, making a beautiful, magnificent change like what Julia has achieved. But we forget that that is, for everybody, that top, that ceiling is different. And we forget to tell these very young, very vulnerable people that it's okay not to be okay. And I would love to see a little bit more of that. And that will probably help with at least half of the mental health crisis that all of the UWCs are currently experiencing. And luckily, my student, Alice, she did walk up the stage. She did pick up her diploma. She smiled. And she wore her mother's wedding dress for that, to celebrate her dad. So it was a magnificent moment. But for a moment there, she didn't want to. And I was very proud that she did. So thank you.
Okay, we have to go a little quickly, but I saw several hands raised, so I'm not going to call on. There were many people I wanted to call on, but did someone have, Sasha, did you have your hand raised? Yes, go ahead, please.
Hi, I'm Sasha. I'm from the Czech Republic originally, and after 20 years of living in London, hence the accent for those of you who have not spoken to me yet, I now live back in the Czech Republic. I work as a psychotherapist with young people who've moved countries, some of their own volition and some in a forced displacement. So most of my experience is working with young people who are refugees and asylum seekers, but now I also work with young people whose parents have decided to move because of careers and work. And I felt like I needed to comment in some way on this. I don't have any answers, but I have questions. And the questions are around the sort of need for education to support this resilience building and whether we should be sort of closing doors, opening doors, how we should be integrating emotional literacy and articulation in education. There's plenty of educators around here. I think it's most of us, we're not necessarily completely taught about what it's like to actually feel a feeling and let it go. We've been taught a million ways of suppressing them, whether it's running or dancing or drinking or doing anything other than to feel. And those feelings need to go somewhere. So I think basic education around emotional literacy is super important in education. Within the education systems, and I wonder how much responsibility MUCI might have, or UWCs might have in the movement to actually incorporate that as part of curriculum. The other bit that I wanted to say is that a really wonderful way of learning how to feel, be, and try on different things is, this is coming from a drama therapist, so okay, but it's the role of the arts, which we see often hugely defunded in education systems around the world. And I would just like to sort of chuck a vote in for not doing that because I think it is an incredibly important tool in resilience building and mental health.
Thank you very much. Were there any other hands raised? Okay, so I just had two last people that I wanted to come to. I wanted to actually go through and have everyone speak, but we have another part of this event that we have to get to. So just dovetailing of what Abhinav said, in terms of creating safe spaces for children to speak about what they want to openly and whatnot. I'd like to ask Sarah, as in her role as a professor, actually the corollary of that, which is that sometimes, our students feel like there are the spaces, the educational spaces, the classrooms are far too safe, where they can't be challenged, they can't be told they're wrong, they can't be told that, listen, you have a silly opinion, and therefore that, it's a feedback loop where the teachers then change their methodology and their approach, and the students then are not getting the best out of amazing teachers. So as a professor, could you share your experience with that in the world today?
Hang on, can you hear me? Yes. Right, so my name is Sara, I'm from Finland, and I'm currently living in Sweden, where I'm not exactly a professor, I should say. I'm a lecturer, so it's, yet to get further. But, so we had this chat with Rohan, actually, about how these, like I taught for 3 years in the Department of Gender Studies. I'm an anthropologist, so now I'm back in the anthro department, I'm back home. But especially teaching in the Gender Studies department, where the students, and I was teaching primarily international MA, like in an international MA program. So my students came from all over the world. They were not just Nordic. In fact, they were hardly ever Nordic. And they would come there with, like, equipped with quite a bit of knowledge, quite a bit of sort of what we call critical thinking skills and so on. But it was also remarkable to see how these conversations about, oh, I'm getting triggered, would be all the time there. Oh, fuck. I mean, yeah. and so it went as far as to have me and my colleagues think about strategies as to how can we show a documentary that addresses, let's say, violence, gender violence, prostitution, etc., without going and patting everybody's heads first and say, don't worry, it's going to be fine, just close your eyes when you see some bad shit, right? And it should not be like that. It definitely, I'm wondering how, is this a point that we've reached that we cannot really go back from? Like, are we condemned as educators of all kind of educational levels to sort of sanitize the stuff that we would like our students to be exposed to in order for them to understand the way the world works? And I think this ties really, really well back to what has been said here about parental protection, the sort of helicopter parenting, as my friend Andrea here would say, and this kind of some sort of like a pathological necessity to ensure that everybody's sheltered from the horrors of the world, right? So this is my almost like a rant rather than any sort of a constructive comment, but it really is something that we discuss and think about all the time, especially in social sciences, qualitative research disciplines, and regarding topics that aren't, easy stuff to just digest.
Thank you very much. There were many more people I would like to have called on. I would like to have called on Alba, who works with Doctors with Borders, Doctors Without Borders. sorry. I would have liked to call on Ashlesha, who works on regenerative farming and all kinds of other things. I would have liked to have ended with Belen, who very kindly told us about how the world is ending and we're past the point of no return, and therefore we should, dedicate the next 5 years to, being the best versions of ourselves and all of that. But we have an activity for which I'm going to ask for Nayo's help to get everyone to do it in under 15 seconds. We have to turn our chairs around and face the screen because there's something very important coming up.
But Rohan, we can continue after that with your people.
Yes, and we will continue the conversation later as well. Yeah.
Just after that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, everyone, can I have your attention? So lovely to hear some very nice thoughts which have emerged today. Some very nice and powerful phrases which I've made a note of, and I'm sure I would love to connect with you all on some of these. Funding is a challenge. Personalized education systems is where we are headed. Some of us are fortunate that our next gen can experience the UWC phenomenal thought, and that's what I wish my daughter had, lost out because IB didn't offer CFE at that time. I wish someone had said it's all right, things happen. It's okay not to be okay. Emotional literacy in education, very powerful thought. Intercultural training, that's what we need. I won't take much time. I think we have lost out on this opportunity because we took too long on this. That's why I was bullying Rohan to carry forward after this. I'm throwing you all back to the past to connect with someone who was a major influence on me. I still remember when 4 of us had come across to this land and to lots of other properties to try and narrow down on where we should be building Muki. I had just come back from the UWC at that time. A few years after that, following which I got involved. And that's one of the people I still hold very high regard for, an influence in my life to be what I am today in this current role. So may I welcome on the screen. Hey, put that off. No, put off. Musical. Okay, open. Ah, there he is. David, they want to hear your voice. Please go ahead.
And it's amazing, it's wonderful to see you all, despite the fact that you've all got very old. Anyhow, I've got to go very soon because it's one of those days here in Buxton. It's Carnival Day. The carnival comes almost past my door here, and in about 2 or 3 minutes I have my whole family coming here because we're using this as a base from which to go out and watch the whole carnival procession. So, thank you for allowing me in again. I feel, looking at the MPH there, looking at you all, my goodness, has the time gone by so quickly? Goodness me. Anyhow, fantastic to see you all, and hey, there's an open door up here in the Derbyshire Dales for any of you, particularly anyone living in London. We're very close. It only takes about an hour and 40 minutes on the train to get up here, and there's an open door waiting at my house for all of you.
We have one of your students who now lives in Manchester.
No, really?
Yep.
Here?
Yes. So you will soon have a knock on your door.
Whoa! Who's that? Stand up. Living, what are you doing in Manchester? I can't hear you.
Hi, Kinga and I. Pass the camera over that way. We're both in Stockport actually. Just work at Mason Level 5.
Get on the train to Buxton. It takes 40 minutes.
I know.
No.
David.
And Kinga, no harassing me like you used to do.
Well, UWCGB has their orientation weekend today in Buxton. Literally.
What?
Yes. We're coming over.
That is absolutely, I'd be absolutely delighted to see you, and delighted to see anybody else who happens to be Manchester way, Stockport way. Please come and see me.
So David, thank you.
I've got to go.
Yes.
I've got to go.
Yes. All the best. Thank you. Did you hear that? They said we love you. So thank you very much for being patient in this sudden change. Rohan, I'm sorry for breaking that up. Please go ahead. Where are you? I know I've transported you all right back to a certain time, and I'm thankful that he's agreed to do this. He was very tight for time, and he's so energetic and he's so positive. I mean, it's lovely to connect with somebody who has so much of optimism, despite him having lost recently. So he's felt it a lot, and nonetheless, he jokes about it, and he says that my brother-in-laws have taught me how to cook, so I can now actually do my own cooking, and that's how I spend most of my time. And it's amazing. In 2 years ago, when I first got catapulted into this role, I had gone to the first heads retreat in council meet in Atlantic College, and I reached out to him and I said, David, I'm so excited to connect with you. May I come down? I may come up and meet you in Manchester. And you know how he says, no, you're my board member. I will come and see you. I said, David, I'm half your age. I need to come. He says, no, you are the person. We had a lovely time when you were there. And he took a train, came down from Manchester, spent the whole afternoon with me, and Zubin suggested a lovely restaurant for me to go to where we just sat together, unwound, got some lovely memories shared, lovely photographs. He warned me of what I was getting into the longer run, and shared some lovely anecdotes. So I'm really thankful to him for a lot of things in the past and even now going forward. And I think I can see the bond with all of you. And that's pretty much what I think the UWC is about. And this is what we need to bring back, this level of a communication between our teachers, whether we disagreed with them, we fought with them. I don't know how many of you were pulled into his office for any other reason or whatever. But yes, these are, I'm sure I've brought back some memories there too, right? So, okay, so Rohan, please, let's go ahead. Go back with what you were doing. Yeah, finish that. There's no, yeah. We have finished much earlier, so there's time. I'll do that. That won't take long. Yeah. Carry on, finish, seriously. Okay, then fine. You want me to be here. All right. So I'm sharing with you a process which had started a while back, right since 2022, when we looked at this whole process of Muki in the last 25 years and now Muki going forward in the next 25 years. So when I came on, there were a lot of thought processes that were there. I shared it with the board shared it with me. They had dreams, we had dreams. And as I keep saying, we all have now a common dream. That will be my last slide coming forward. So the process was very amazing as to reaching out to all the stakeholders, connecting with the students, connecting with faculty, talking to people from the outside, talking to staff, people who were there earlier, talking to our drivers. I'm not very good with all of this, but okay, let's try. So just sharing with you what we kind of call the master plan, but we had a lovely interaction with an architect who has some amazing thought processes of visualization of where Muki should be. So we had a lot of thoughts as we were going forward. I'm not going to open this up for further discussion after this because obviously there's a lot that we will need to do, and I'm requesting all of you to continue this dialogue. That's what Zubin had said earlier, and I'm still saying to all of you, I said it yesterday too, this is now a process we have to take forward together. And I would love for you all to connect in any way, whether it's time, talent, or treasure, but just please connect in some form or the other. Let's not be disconnected as we have been for so many years in the past. I do like the concept of you all having your own local chapters, if you want to call it so, for want of a word. But yes, Farzan, did I say the name right? Faraz, yes, Faraz. We were meant to meet when I was in New York, but we didn't end up. But Rohan had been telling me a lot about you. So these are your thoughts. I'm just echoing them here. But let's just take this. So we all know what UWC is about. Whether we really understand each other or not is another one. But yes, that's the aim that we all set out to do. We all know where we have reached now in our footprint around Is it something of concern? Yes, it is. Is this movement in problems? Yes, it is. We definitely are having a tough time in getting the funding, as has been said, and getting also the people involved to believe that we are different from any other international school, which is happening now. It was a very different chapter many years ago. It's changed now. MUCI is where some of you may have seen it then. You used to have a helipad at that time, which obviously none of that kind of exists. This is obviously not how we started off, because by now we have a lot of the biodiversity, which is not there. This is the richness of MUCI, which we really have. We should be proud of, because when we came here in 1996 to lay the foundation stone, this was all barren land, pretty much as barren as the grass behind over there. But the way it has changed is all thanks to all of you and the biodiversity work which is being done by the people involved. So 1997 is when the first batch came in. It was the 10th college, as you know. 250 students is what Pranjal had shared with you yesterday, number of countries. What are we based on? Deliberate diversity, as we call it. What was the process? So the process was very intriguing because it went through, the architect had certain thoughts, the board had certain thoughts which we have implemented going forward. We kind of mapped out what were our user requirements, what is the essence of the experience, the principles and strategies of what we should be doing and how we should go forward in terms of everything being a little more centralized. I'm sure all of you are aware of something, running from one place to another to do something else, another place to do another thing, hoping that we can have a little more homogeneity between each department or each group subject, as we kind of call it. Versions, obviously we have to have it because it's a large plan, it's a big thought process, it's a large dream, it's a big dream, ambitious dream. Whether we can do it in one shot or not will be a question as we go forward. Same thing, we're just mapping that whole thought process further with the discussions that happened with everyone. What was our essence that we're talking about? So the mission is something which everyone knows about. There's nothing new on that. The two people, fundamentally one person who really did the whole thing, and obviously Nelson Mandela, who was at that time the president of the UWC, their thoughts, and what were the kind of thoughts? I love this statement. I had the privilege of being involved with Harishji when I was much younger, and I was the kid on the board at that time, and love this thought that it should be a place where there is independent thought. We spoke about a safe space, right? So it was different at that time. You didn't have Instagram, you didn't have WhatsApp, instant photographs of everything going out. You had the safety of being a safe space without the outside world ever intruding into that space or minding your business, as we call it, whether it's a government or whether it's a local body or whoever. You could do what you want, you could say what you want, and it was a safe space. Today it's becoming a little complex to maintain that safe space as we go forward without having interjections of some sort. I love the phrase of Nelson Mandela when he spoke about basically breaking barriers. That's been one of my most important takeaways from that, and a catalyst of change. That's what we need to be. Two things came out of this whole process that we went. Two very powerful phrases which are kind of the essence of what the whole change is about. A word called responsible. That's what our design process should involve. That's what it should be, whether it's sustainability, whether it is a biodiversity, whether it is something that we can manage our resources properly. Basic things, you know, that when you leave this space, do you close the door? It's an air-conditioned space. It costs energy to do that. Every time you open and close the door, it's not automatic. Please close it. Things like these, you know, they need to be taught to our students as we go forward. It's not just about having everything automatically happening. Why don't we shut off lights? Why is it that we now have to think about installing sensors so that if you leave the place, the light goes off? Can't we also have that same sensor inbuilt in us that when you leave a space, switch off the light? Why is it that it's something which is always required on somebody else to do it for you? Things like that which we miss, and that's part of a sense of responsibility which we need to bring back on our campus. Unbound, phenomenal word. Breaking away, having creative ideas which we can take further away. All these are very powerful thought processes that we have. Our student body needs to get this back. We had it in the past. All of you have been unbound in a very strong way. We have a new lot which is coming in, which is extremely fragile. Extremely fragile. And that's the reason why we are constantly talking about counseling. We're talking about help in some ways. First question I recall when I sat with Mr. Mahindra on one of the board meetings when this whole thing came up of mental health. And the question he asked is, Gaurav, don't we have friends nowadays? Simple statement he made, very powerful, which kind of hits me. So friends are only on Facebook. I don't know if that's the case. A lot of thinking, which we need to do, which is part of, it's interesting that all these things came out. Do they affect the construction, infrastructure, design? Maybe, I don't know. I'm not an architect, so I can't say. But we did do all of this in our thought process as we went. So we did an evaluation of the property and the infrastructure at that time. All that was done. I'm sure you all have seen enough of this going on for many, many years. We do want to make a change in some ways. I'm sure we'll never get rid of it because the rain is still going to be 200 mm every season. What did we also do? It's just like you all are connecting, there's a phenomenal change on the heads group also. The last year and the year before last was the first time I've seen all the heads working so well together. Connected, sharing ideas, sharing the same problems that we have. How are you tackling it? How are we tackling it? Very fortunate that the two heads which are there, Khalid is in Adriatic and we have Nick at UWC Singapore, extremely helpful in sharing their insights and their best practices. Our architect was able to visit and understand what do they do. Didn't have the time to go to all the rest, but I was very fortunate to reach out to the student bodies to get what we call campus tour videos. So I have some lovely campus tour videos which they've all shared for us to know actually what's happening in there, with their viewpoints rather than what is officially sent out by the colleges themselves. So a lot of thought process went into that, how it can be done. We had workshops. You can see all of us are involved in there. There's faculty, there's students, there are everyone. We had two sets of workshops where we sat and had a similar kind of questions which Rohan has put to everyone. All of us expressing our views. What is it that we found? So, for example, surprises and sacrifices. So, what did Mewki surprise you with? What were the sacrifices that you had to make when you were here? So, a lot of things. What did you lose when you came to Mewki? You lost your sense of ego. You lost your sense of being pompous. It's a very interesting thought. What did you lose when you came to Mewki? There are a lot of negatives which you need to get rid of when you are in an institution. So all these thoughts, so there was a lot of insights that came into this. I mean, as I said, where does it influence us as we go forward? Does it affect our architectural vocabulary? So we need to design something now which can sustain for a much longer period of time. New materials for construction, new methods of construction. Can the school function while we are doing these changes? We can't shut the school down. It's going to be crazy. How do we do that? How do we construct, how do we make Mewki a place which is physically challenged friendly, if I may use the word? How do we do that now? I can provide ramps at MPH, I can provide a ramp there. What about the Vadas? How do we do that? Those kind of things, which is a lot of thinking which we need to do. Do we need to have new roads? If this was an institution overseas, by default, I would have to do that. I wouldn't have got a license by now. But now that's also coming here, and we are needing to implement it. So flexible spaces, a memorable architecture which we all have, we don't want to lose that. A sustainable design principle, and obviously to enhance the human experience as we go forward. Similar thought processes in that going forward. What are our challenges that we're going to face? I'm sure all of you have gone through this when you were here. Limited natural light, disjointed additions, outdated building systems, and some disruptive upgrades which we may need to do. So these are the feedback which we've had from a lot of the students in the past. I wish we could have connected with you all then, but you're still welcome to please share your views as we go forward. Again, the same thoughts which carry forward, it's just another way of expressing the same things, as I said. But one of the important things which will come up from out of this is to look at, obviously, our environment. We have a lot of topology which we can look at. We've done some contour mapping to see where we could do what. Can we get water from the underground? Things like that, whether it's possible. Can we do rainwater harvesting without having mosquitoes as a problem? You can't just open a reservoir and then have millions of mosquitoes coming up as a new problem. Do we do a bio-STP? Where should we set it up? so that it doesn't add a new problem. I mean, it's to go in this direction, it doesn't mean that we add a new problem. So we need to be aware of all of that. So again, by status, we had again another understanding of it. Is something redundant? Is there something which is refreshed, which we need to refresh? What do we need to introduce which we did not have before, and what can we simply retain as it was? Most importantly, I think, which I need to understand is future-proofing, because now, since money is getting so tight every single way, we have to ensure that it's future-proofed and it's not just money down the drain for a short-term, feather in the cap. Some interesting developments in the mapping which has come. I'm running through it very quickly. This is what we call our ideal thought process. As you can see, that's where we are. All the green is what we're looking at refurbishing. All the blue is some of the new construction that we need to do. We have another thought process emerging, is that we have so much of Triveni activities. We have so many activities which we do outside. Building an area where we could probably have a solar farm. In that area, we could also have a ready plinth like this, something ready, so that you just go with your camping equipment and you set up your tents and you can have a complete campsite ready to go. You still have the same experience, but you would probably be saved with the possibility of you having grass and snakes coming in right away there. Things like that, should we consider, not consider? We have to see what's the real experience about and going forward. The lovely blue thing there, as you can see, is the plot that we have on the riverfront, where we could actually have our kayaks, and we could have a training center also there for the kids who want to do river activities, river rafting, kayaking, and all of those.
I'm not really sure I understand the objective of what we're trying to solve with this.
We are not solving anything. We are refurbishing things to bring them back to a certain standard that we need to do. That's all. So a lot of the facilities are outdated, so just bringing all of that. You can't do piecemeal. We have to do everything as we go forward in that process, yeah. So similar kind of, just a closer look at the whole thing as we go forward. A visual representative of the same thought process. So I leave you all with just two kind of thoughts. We are already aware of this. Bertrand had said this many, many years ago. And his motive was to have few people get into a boat, go across the English Channel, learn to live together. If you reach the other side without fighting amongst each other, you've managed to achieve something and you've learned a lot. That was basically the thought process. That's why it's a 2-year educational system. And you are basically given freedom away from you relive your childhood for those 2 years without anyone bothering you on that. So I have a dream, we have a dream, and I hope you all have a dream from Yuki too. Most importantly, what I'm sharing with all of you, and I will request all of you, be a part of it. Need to be part of this process. Questions like we just asked, we need a lot more of those going forward. That's why I said we will have a lot to discuss as we are going forward in this next few weeks. Do reach out, do connect. I already had Kinga come up in the morning and take some time and chat on certain thoughts, which is very powerful and important. And I think all of you should do the same. Amongst yourself, I know already from Rohan that you're already thinking of various ways of connecting and helping in some way. All of you have achieved something in life. As Mr. Mahindra said yesterday, you all had a spark, you all had something special. And however way, time, talent, treasure, I'm saying it again. Be a part of this as we go. And I said it's a dream. There's no hard and fast right or wrong. But we are just making that effort to have this dream come forward so that we can share. This institution has to survive the next 25 years. It's reached this far, now she needs help. She needs to get back to a certain thing. Does it mean that we only look at the institution? No, we're also looking at scholarships, we're also looking at funding for that side of the thing too. It's not just one-sided. We're looking at ways of trying to look at a corpus so that we can also have better teachers. We can also retain our faculty. We have to be on top of the hill. We are away from anywhere. So it's a very complex set of things which we need to be taking forward. Spoken a lot. Once again I'm saying, be a part of it. Thank you very much for all of you taking this effort really to do this, come this far and take this thought seriously that Mewkey does. I saw it emerge in what you all were talking about, that Mewkey does need. We need to keep the movement alive, we need to keep Mewkey alive. Thank you very much once again and enjoy the rest of your time.
Just a couple of quick announcements. Everyone is free to hang around here and continue the conversations that we were having. Gaurav sir is going to be here to talk more about any questions that you may have about the presentation that sir made. Don't dilly-dally too much because you have to be back at the MPH by 8 o'clock. That's very critical for the gala dinner. And we have, and we can't stay here for too long because we have to set up for the gala dinner. So about 20 minutes we have and we're going to give you the batch. Okay, one sec, sorry, one at a time. We're going to give you the batch pictures over there. So please collect all of those. Those are ready. Those of you who have not made it for the batch pictures, we'll put you in via AI. I see Shikha and Harsher and Karan and yes, bro. Go ahead. We will share that with you. We will share that with you. We will share it with you. Don't worry.
I'd love to say that to Mr. Mahindra. He would really be happy to hear that. Thank you for that. Yes.
Okay, so we have a lot of just a quick few transport related announcements for anyone that is either leaving tomorrow and needs to book a jeep. Usha?
So I'm here, I'm going to be here for another 20 minutes. You want to book a vehicle, please come by, recheck your bookings if you're already done. And I will share the transport form on the WhatsApp group so you know that your transport is booked and the driver details with the driver numbers will be on there. Yeah? Thank you. Some people have already spoken to, so if you have not, you can just come over.
So just to reiterate, 20 minutes here and then we must leave and then back by 8 o'clock. Yeah, thanks. Thank you.